We're looking at the top momentum companies on ASX and the best launchpad stocks, those that have had the strongest movement in the week and are poised to become the next leaders. Gary Glover's been through both lists to find out the best ones to talk about, the charts to learn from, and the setups to study. We've also shared the list with with members on a Thursday afternoon so that they can trawl through the list and send through their requests, and we can discuss those charts as well. So Gary, you've been through the list. How are you this morning?
Yeah, no, pretty good. Yourself?
I'm well. We're recording a day early, and good thing we can get the video in on a Thursday so that we can share it with everyone. With the list that you've been through, obviously we've got reporting season. We've got a lot of movements happening, big explosive movements, and we're seeing a lot of huge amounts of volume being rocketed in the first couple of days after the announcement for obvious reasons. So when you're looking through momentum stocks, are you seeing large episodic pivots like you have the last couple of weeks, or are you starting to see them taper off, or are we still in the thick of that? How's that looking?
Yeah, you've still got a couple of VPs there. I don't know if you noticed this, Chris, here, but it seems to be that the movements seem to be larger this year than I've seen for a few years. I know the liquidity in the market, but yeah, we're seeing stocks sort of maybe come up 5 or 6% short, get buried between 10 and 15%, maybe sometimes even 20% moves there. And you go, oh, did I read that P&L report right? That's sort of,
There's something I missed in that report.
I've got them down 6%, yet the stock's down 18. It's sort of like, what do I missed? So, but I think we're just seeing some bigger moves here, just some bigger swings there. But the one thing I did notice in that in the quarterly momentum list, I saw there's a couple in there that I've actually already printed out and marked up, because I sort of think they're almost kind of model book sort of setups there. Yeah, right. The first one here is this EOL, which is number 3 there. So see, obviously this pretty strong stock there. It had shown sort of relative strength there. I think if you go back and look at the weekly, I think it had been pretty strong coming into this move here. Almost a big cup and handle here on the weekly as well. So tightening up here under the old high, which is pretty interesting sort of setup there. But then here, this whole thing just tightened up in here as well. I thought, wow, how did I not see that one? So sort of one trade that didn't sort of catch my eye here, but see how tight this got in here, and then actually had the breakout day on volume as well. So yeah, and I did, so this might have looked a bit, I guess if you were here, it might have looked a bit large that day. I thought, well, maybe it hasn't gone too far. But this is a tight coil, and there's no really tight action in there. So, there's a few bars in there, but not too much,
So you've got a VCP, you've got coil, you've got a compression of the moving averages.
Yeah.
Back in on the 50-day. It's not quite on the 50-day, but it's almost ready to bounce off it like a solid springboard.
Yeah, just the whole thing has been pretty, showed, relative strength on the weekly, congesting under the high. VCP here, there's really only a couple of distribution days here, and then we saw good volume bars come back in again and then dried up here, which is a good sign. One distribution day here, which is like an inside bar, so that kind of really is that selling or buying, and I would say at the time they wasn't obvious what that was.
That's the white copper anomaly right there, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's not bearish or bullish there, because that's not like it's sold off and then it's been aggressive. That's actually looks like in a tight range there. Looks like a placement gun almost, like which is sort of kind of a neutral signal there. But then you come out of here and then bang, and then with that, it's even buying here, on this day here, open at 720 there. So it's a nice move there. So just goes to show, so the good setups there, good patterns. Just gotta respect those. So again, that's a fantastic setup there. The other one there that I thought was textbook was one I was watching there. It was just a little small for me, but I did see this coil up here as well. Really look at that coil through there, Chris, as well. You can see, volume just tighten right up in here as if we zoomed in there, we were just saying, we've seen just, very little action there, just tightening, and finally it sort of comes out here. So I think you get a bit of a breakout. And this day here definitely goes through that, 36.5 cents was obviously a bit of a lid for the stock. So obviously that was the seller there. Once the seller's gone, cleared out, then the stock sort of popped there. So, had a pretty good run after that too. So, pretty good volume on that day. It actually gave you, I did watch this pull back here because I was like, oh, do I bend my rules? But nice little, nice reversal there as well. Nice little inside day, tightened up again. So, I thought that was a really, really good setup there. Just I printed the chart off there, even though it doesn't fit my personal rules. So I thought that was another cracking trade there as well. So 2 sort of textbook setups there to learn. So you see a healthy volume contraction there. Let's say like that. There's our high there. What's that? August. So we've gone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's taken 6 months to come out of this. That's the patient waiting game there, So being able to wait that sort of, 2 to 7 months, sometimes those sort of congestion VCPs are tightening, can do. So if you see those sort of stocks that have showed that strength on good volume, then tighten up there, really got to just keep them on your radar. So this one was on my radar, even though I didn't hit my rule. I just wanted to watch this one here as well. I thought it looked pretty good.
That's really good to see 2 solid setups like that.
Yeah. Well, best thing you can do though, they're kind of like model book stocks in some regard, Chris. So they're model book setups. So I've been keeping it, each week when I see what I call A setups, where I see explosive big moves, I actually study them. I sort of mark them up, then I print them off and I put them in a file, so I can just go back and refer to them. So, hopefully I might have 20 or 30 sort of really sort of sort of setups in my little file here. So, for the last year, and then, if I see a setup in the future, then I'm really comparing that to the, to the strong names that have got all the same ingredients there. And then even when you take those trades, it can be slow to react as well. Or you might, shoot up and then you get a pullback and you, is that normal? That's when you go back and study, 30 of the biggest movers, and you see that, maybe 65% will have a bit of a sharp pullback, maybe between day 2 and day 4 or something. Then if you see one, it's like, that's fine. That happens a lot. That happens 2/3 of the time anyway. So it's not going to make you uncomfortable. So kind of learning those sort of setups, being prepared for and sort of knowing what they do is a good thing to have in your arsenal. It just kind of gives you more confidence there if you see the sort of setup and pullback. It'll stop you sort of reacting, getting out when you shouldn't. Because it's just a typical sort of healthy little throwback. Number 4, ARN was interesting there, just because it had that really good volume there. I think there's a sort of one that did come up in the last few weeks. Pulled back there, didn't have the volume there. It was okay there. The volume was okay. Did pull back again, not too much there. This came back a little deep here, but then once you sort of come back up to the high here, you're breaking through. That looks pretty, looks pretty strong here. Once it's sort of gone through this level here, looks at around 37 cents there, and it's sort of kicked on there. So had the little 1 day selling here. So again, like a little throwback. So you might have got, again, just sort of studying what happens here when they do these things. They can go to a new high and fail here, and you probably looked a bit negative on that day, but all you got to do is just sort of tighten up your stop there. Still got to give it some room, and then it comes through there. So thought that was okay there. Okay setup. BHG we talked about previously. I was lucky enough to sort of get on this one actually. So just nice little VCP in there. Finally, did break out. Took a little while to get going here. Sort of, a bit slow here. Then sort of did have a nice moves there. Nice result. And then Pierre get lucky with a bid coming in. I got pretty fortunate there, Chris, actually, probably good luck rather than anything else, because I sort of had a target up around this level. This date here was the ex-dividend date. So my order got through right on out of the morning. I didn't notice. I I forgot that it had there's only 2-cent dividend, so it was tiny. So I thought, no, it still looks pretty robust there. I think it was a pretty good result. So I thought, this probably just retreat under the high and keep going. And yeah, luckily for me, it did keep going. So, but yeah, I wasn't expecting that. So I got a bit lucky there, but maybe I was kind of thinking at the time, I've sort of been applying the rules and processes, doing all the right things. The markets, because I'm doing the right things, the market's going to do the right thing by me. So that's exactly what happened. So that's all right. COV we talked about. Obviously, great setup there. AQD was sort of one to watch. Just thought this is interesting here. It's had a really impulsive move. So it's had a bit of a pullback here, Chris. It's too small for me, but one thing you will notice in here is that you've had maybe that little bit of selling in here, pull back in here, but see the volumes actually, the selling's really dried up here now. So actually that's sort of holding up quite nicely there. So I think that's probably a bit of a support zone around there. But yeah, too small for me personally, but just notice there's definitely no selling going on in that pullback. SFX, I thought this one here just too small for me personally, but did like the volume there. Possible change of character for the stock, so just probably one to keep an eye on moving forward. Main, looked a little bit of a high type flag in there, but probably hard to trade that. They didn't really come out until we got the gap up. So I kind of gapped up into the high type flag, which I don't mind this sell. There's been a few of those running up here, popping up there. I think M31 might have just done one here recently as well. Like gapped up into the flag, tightened up, and then it's come out today. So they are. I think there's a few. He also was was it HE? Oh, that's a bit different. That's another one here. No, so I was trying to. There's another one there that's sort of done a sort of similar setup. It's sort of gapped up, pulled back, congested, and then popped again. So definitely see. I like to sort of have that one for one. So I like to sort of see like a 3 or a 5 day rally and then pull back the same amount of days and then go. That's kind of my setup. But I did think that was interesting there. What have we got there? Yeah, for the SFX, I thought that was change of character. The HE milk was number 13. So again, we just had that EP there. Obviously, we're gonna has gone on with it there. So that's definitely been a Swan, that one, Chris, in terms of the EP lift. So has kicked on and then it's kept going there. So pretty decent size move there. What have we got there? MP1 I just covered there. That's a little high type flag in there, just sort of gapping up. So yeah, just been seeing a few of those actually. Stocks sort of gapping up pretty hard, having a little congestion and then going again. CRS. The CRS is sort of, it's again too small for me personally, but I just had that, acceleration, big gap up, and now the whole thing's tightened up here. So again, you got that little high tight flag sort of set up there. So interesting setup. That setup has been working a lot lately. So just one to watch. ARU. Oh, this was a really interesting sort of setup here. Actually, this one I was watching, but again, I think this came up last week, Chris, as well. I think, but a little bit of a VCP and a little bit of a B wave break in here. So, but looks a little weak here overall. But when you zoom out here, it's why sometimes it pays to sort of just look at your weekly setup there. It did sort of have that low. So we've gone back for a retest, a bit of a false break here, but we are seeing some okay volumes in there. Well, so possible change of character in there. Just seeing some volume there. Look, too small for me. Bottom half for me, so I try to stay away from the bottom half, but I thought that looked okay for a stock that's a little B wave break there. EGR number 25. Again, pretty small here, but didn't mind the look of this one there. It's a little bit of a cup and handle coming off the low, but again, we are looking, on the daily, we're down the bottom here. So I'll be wanting to have a look at the weekly. There's a lot of sellers ahead there, so not the strongest looking chart here. So a lot of these are just sort of running and having a bit of a pop and then fizzing out. So, but there's some volume coming in here. So potentially something brewing here. Possible change of character and what's going on. Definitely didn't see any selling in there, dried up, and it's gone through. The volume's actually pretty sound there, but again, you got a lot of sellers there, so that's a little tough there. OML, the iMedia there, that's had a nice little pop too. Some okay volume, bit of exhaustion on the low there. So again, you're sort of down here in that bottom half, which is a bit weak here. So we have had a nice bounce here and some good volume there. So possible change of character. So things like that, I wouldn't trade those personally, but they go on the radar now because there could be a change in character to the stock here. So it might be a little different there. Is that me? I missed a page here or something.
Oh, so there's still two that are on the request list that you haven't covered yet. Have you got? You're still going with?
I think I had trouble with your report there, Chris. I can see that then he printed off the 26 there and 30 on the other side for some reason. So yeah.
Well, the one that was on both lists, which was TLX.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that I didn't like the look of that one there, just because I know it's been a strong trend there. It had a bit of volume there, but yeah, I just thought that it's. Look, the whole thing's sitting on top there. It's still pretty constructive in that regard. I just didn't like that bar there. Yeah, so just, look, you just got to be careful this market here. I still think you're seeing definite, some of these stocks, some of the stronger names there are starting to see big reversals there. So you just got to be careful with these extended names here now. So it's different when you're sort of in the market's pretty healthy and, sort of good breadth and, I think the market's trading above the, 21-day moving average or above the 50 and things like that. That's when the market's still pretty healthy. But when you start to see lots of other growth stocks show distribution signs, start to break 50s, putting in big shooting stars, you're seeing the indexes break 21-day moving average and 50s. That's the point where you got to really tighten up in here. So if I had TLX there, I'd just be careful. I'd be tighten this one right up here. Look, so far it's held the 50, but it's a long way back here, sort of. I'd just be careful. I'd be tightening right up here. Just seeing some really stronger names there, showing signs of distribution.
Right, and the next one on the request list is ALC, the last one actually.
Yeah, I think it's on. Yeah, it's on the other list as well. Yeah, I did sort of see that. Yeah, it's just getting a little loose here now. Sort of that, that correction is pretty large up there. So, prefer to sort of see it tight correction there rather than loose there. So, yeah, that looked a little. Sometimes when you sort of run, you see that big burst of volume. That can be, sign of exhaustion there as well. So if you look at say this run up there, I'm going to guess that's the high bar there. Maybe not. Did go on a couple there, but sometimes those sort of, when they run out there, they can exhaust that can sort of stop a trend as well. So, and they run in a high bar. So you always want to sort of see the orderly there, or maybe a big bar early rather than.
Or it starts to turn.
Yeah. But then, it's okay if you see that bar might be strong later, but it's kind of what follows that, you don't want to see. So we did see 3 days of selling here. Look, it's up again today here. A bit light here, but yeah, just getting a little loose there. So
there is the anomaly that happens on that high volume day, which is at the 10-cent level. So this is something that we don't really trade under 50 cents, but if you buy at 10 cents and you sell one tick higher at 10.5 cents, you make 5% on the one tick.
Yeah.
So there is always, like the Jesse Liverpool thing, where there was just a huge amount of volume and psychological resistance at around numbers of 100, 200, 300, that kind of thing. Right there, just probably an example.
If you look at that chart there, Chris, you see like that. Just have a look there. So that's probably the biggest range day there on the big volume.
Yeah,
that move. Okay, and then we run up here. There's a few. It's maybe a decent sized range there, but then this ends up probably being one of the bigger range days again as well. And then, so you got that bar there, maybe one of these bars there that looked a little bit distributed as well, but did keep on there. Big, 2 big bars in there, can stop it there. That looked like it might have been one there. The volume was still pretty tempered, so that's okay, but you can see that's a big wide bar, big volume there. So the pros, when they see that sort of big wide range bar and they see volume up, that they'll be selling some into there, so whether it's a quarter or a third or something, like, if even David Ryan, will sell sort of some, into there. Might only be 20% or something there, but they'll sell some of that. That's the sort of, often sort of see those. It's hard there because it looks so good on those takes, but when you get that big wide big, stronger volume through there, that can be the sorry. It doesn't always end the trend as you see, but it can be just a distribution point where it sort of slows down there. So, as professional traders and stuff there, if you want to sell some into that, and then you can always, if it comes back a bit, you can always reload. And if you sell some of it, you still got position. If it keeps going high, you can still sell more later. Right, I think there you probably find 75% of the time there, when you've had a bit of a run and get a big pop like that, probably going to mark a high, probably 3/4 of the time for a little while at least. Anyway, so
Well, that's it. By itself, September through November, and then the pullback, December, January, it's coiling, compressing, it makes a VCP, it tightened it up under 7 cents. Apart from the fact that it is at 7 cents and lower volume, lower value, that's a beautiful chart.
Yeah. I mean, that's a nice little, mouse working here. That little sort of setup through there was pretty healthy, and then the whole thing, tightened up in here, and then it came out a little bit of a, call this maybe a B wave in there or something. Did sort of make up, did go slightly higher there, a little throwback, but then held here, and then, that was sort of starting to build a nice little handle there. I think it's starting to come through here. That will look quite good there. So just too small for me personally, but it charts pretty healthy there. Yeah.
So we've got the launchpad list, and this week there were a lot of, I noticed that 1/3 of the list were actually XKO, so top 200 companies, which is good to see, but also a function of what you're talking about. We're seeing huge movements, short amount of time, off the back of news. We are in reporting season, and the top 300 generally have more institutional money behind it. So once they report, they can quickly make that decision and shuffle the portfolio. So when you went through the list this week, looking at the launchpad, so the best ones in the week, where do you start off? What did you start? Drone Shield, is that the first one you're looking at?
Yeah, I did see Drone Shield there, because I just sort of thought this would come back there. Like, I had a pretty large correction there. So, there's our, talking about our 50-80 rule. This is definitely up there on the 80 side there, sort of 270 down to sort of 60 cents there. So
I'll just chime in here. There is a great video where just after that large drop, Gary put his hand up and said, 50-80 rule, actually, here's where I think it's coming back to. I think it's going to 90 cents. And at the time, the share price was about $2. So,
I think that bar was just an overbalance. And as soon as the trend overbalanced, I just knew it was going to come back to where the drive started. That's where that's just looking at chart for 20 years and seeing those, because that was like that was a nice sort of accelerating trend line. So built a bit of a base, they did a bit of a placement, got some momentum, and then the 3 ascending trend lines, and that last leg was just, that was some really move, that leg there. But then once it finishes there, then that's going to come back to that start. That's the thing with those leading stocks. So, but yeah, it's come back there. But I just sort of thought it's what you did see down here, Chris, was actually starting to see a bit of that whole thing was sort of starting to base a bit here as well. So, sort of go sideways for a bit here, and the whole thing sort of started to tighten up. I just thought, there's some interesting volume starting to sort of build here, and I did notice that it did come out of here. I just because the stock was, had a pretty large correction there. It's not the sort of strongest looking stock there, but I did see that B wave there. I think 2 days after that B wave, that was announced that the US was going to up its military budget. So someone obviously knew this was coming. But yeah, so this is definitely one to keep an eye on here now, because it sort of has had a nice little run there. And, look, if everywhere in the world starts to ramp up military budgets, and then we're gonna, I mean, getting drone coverage is cheaper than
Boots on the ground.
yeah, that's right. You do more damage there without less less costs and stuff there as well. So it has come off there. So that's a bit of a break there as well. So it'll just be interesting to sort of see this one. Maybe I don't think it's going to go back here, but maybe it can go for a bit of a run here. But just goes on the watch list for me, just because it sort of has come out done a little mini B wave. But I'd like to see whether this can actually build here. So I thought that was pretty interesting. DSK, I saw this was a bit of a gap up there. I think from an EP point of view, might have been too large there. So it just had a big gap there. So that is makes it a bit hard there. Obviously, we had a bit of a swing back as well. EZZ was actually one successful EP there. So I think it was a close at 201, opened at 208, which is about 3.5%. So yeah, ideally that sort of probably that 4 to 7 is the kind of sweet spot somewhere in there, but pretty close. And that had a nice little run there. I think it opened at 208, went up to 241 during the day. So pretty good result. That was a bit of a leading stock there, sort of. Yeah, I thought this might have been the low in here. I did buy this little B wave break there, but it never really got going until the whole thing tightened up and then eventually broke down. So luckily for me, it didn't. No real loss in there, but yeah, it's come all the way back here. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on here. Still got some pretty strong growth there. What else we got there? I saw APA had a bit of a break. So it's a bit of a sleepy stock normally. Has been in a downtrend for a while. I think the earnings profile was looking pretty grim there for a while here, but look, possible change of character in there. So just sort of watch that one now. See if we, maybe we get a little high tight flag or a little tight congestion. Just goes on the watch list. LTR I thought was pretty interesting, Chris. Apart from sort of just going, we've sort of got some reasonable volume in there. So we've sort of got some signs of accumulation taking place. But look, the trend's been pretty down. It did go to a new low there. So still sort of a bit weak there, but had a bit of an impulsive rally, some good volume through there. And then the whole thing tightened up here. I actually did try to buy this coming out of one of those little ABCs here, which I think I bought this little tight congestion there. And it came out and then failed here, but it's just sort of gone sideways. It did break below the 50 there, but it's just sort of tracked there. I thought it was interesting. The thing I liked about it was that it did the 0, 1, 2, 3 sort of cylinder pattern as well. So that was our low, first high low, second high low, and the third high low. So it actually did break out. Yesterday was what I call like a little, in terms of my 0, 1, 2, 3 trade, it was actually did break up there on pretty good volume as well. So I thought that looked okay there. But yeah, not the strongest, but that can be how a bit of a base starts there as well. And I noticed that PLS, just, the chart looks pretty horrible here, but when I zoom out the PLS, it's like when I'm talking about, drone shield, once it's done, if they tend to come back to where the last rally started, that's usually like a bit of a support zone. So once this had sort of started to fail here, I thought, it's probably going to come back to this level here, which is around that $2 mark here. So that's normally where a lot of them, they'll often come back to that level and then maybe start to build here. So look, it doesn't, there's nothing, no sign of strength here at all so far. But it's just, that's an interesting technical zone where you can often see some support come in, but that doesn't look so good. But that's, they can look pretty heavy into the low sometimes. So we're just at a pretty interesting juncture for some of those stocks there. But this is pretty weak here. I wouldn't be touching this until I sort of start to see some more strength there. But just interesting, a lot of those sort of stocks are at technical levels there. KME, number 15 there. Bit of a cup and handle there, maybe just a little bit elusive to trade, pretty gappy in here. So I thought that looked okay without being great. HAS, again, a bit nice cup and handle sort of setting up here, Chris, as well. So had a nice run, some good volume. It's come back here, pretty light volume there. So saw some good volume again here, kind of dried up again. had some nice volume again. So this thing's not the worst looking chart here at the moment. So definitely starting to build here. The downside is that you got a lot of losers in front of you. So yeah, you are sort of fighting the tape. So that's the downside there, is that we just know those stocks can do it tough breaking back through again. MTM.
No, just another M.
Yeah. A bit of a B wave break here. Oh, not yet, sorry. So just had a pretty strong trend here. We've just sort of got a few lower highs in here. So I just got this one to sort of keep an eye on here. The only thing we're seeing good volume on the way up here, but we have seen there has been a bit of volume in here. You'd probably, ideally once this sort of starts to congest and tighten up there, the volume should dry up here. So I just haven't seen that so far. So this still sort of goes on the watch list just because it has shown that, pretty strong trend here so far. Some pretty good volume as well. But it might need to go through a contraction. And as was shown, there was quite a few of those contractions. They can contract for 2 months. Sometimes they can contract out for 6 or 7 months as well. So you just don't know how long you're going to get there. DBH. I think, Chris, you talked with the all those betting stocks hit the list last week. Launchpad. So you had 2 or 3 of the betting stocks all actually on the launchpad last week. So yeah, someone knew something was going on there. So obviously we've had a takeover there come in, which is good for points bet holders. PPH, CAA. What was sort of again? This is a bit of a cup and handle here. It's a pretty erratic sort of stock here. Can be a bit gappy. What I thought was interesting here was actually the weekly. When I rolled down here, I thought, this is that we've literally just come through the top here in a market which is pretty vulnerable at the moment, showing lots of bearish charts, not that many bullish ones there. That's probably the best weekly chart I've seen here at the moment here. So that's gone back to to a new high there. It stayed pretty high in the range. Really congesting under the high. Look how long that congested under the high there for. Lots of weeks now, not a lot of volume in there. So just starting to come through here. So that's actually, that's pretty strong looking chart, to be honest with you. So it's just not the easiest stock to trade there. Pretty gappy there. But chart looks pretty good. What else we got there? NZM. Again, a bit of another cup and a handle as well. Been pretty strong here. The whole thing's tightened up here. Looked like it might have wanted to come through here, but then it just sort of stalled. But then you just saw no volume as well. You start to see this come back in a bit of volume then. Might have been thinking, okay, maybe this can crack through here. But it's funny how these stocks, when you see them before they take off here, you're watching these stocks and you go, this stock's literally moving 4 cents or 5 cents over the last 6 to 9 months. It's so tight. There's just nothing going on in the stock here. But I think it's important to sort of zoom out and have a look and just see if it's it's had a bit of a rallying coming through here. So that doesn't look too bad here really. So but yeah, just a little bit tight there. BAP. Didn't see this one here, Chris, but I just thought, the one thing against this stock was it's been getting looser and looser. So yeah, so you want to sort of see the whole thing tighten up there. So that's kind of a no-no for me. You kind of want to see the reverse of that. If you turn that chart around and do it the other way around, that's what you want to see. SUN, similar sort of setup here. We're getting loose here. So that's kind of this sort of move here. This kind of topping type of, once you're running up here, it's all, it's all tight. Don't get too loose there. Then, once you see that move, that's probably the largest correction of the whole trend. So you see something like that, that tells you that, that there could be an overbalance in the trend there. And, did you see any aggressive selling going off here? Yeah, of course we did. We saw some pretty heavy volume there as well. It's gone back up here. So there's a thing about when you do overbalance, sometimes you can come back up and make a first lower high, or you can even go sometimes to a marginal new high. But this is not the best looking sign here at the moment here. So I know it's a big stock here. most people don't will be trading that from a momentum point of view, but that is a topping type of characteristics as well. I noticed that ISB, again, in that military space there, so been a pretty strong stock here, had a pretty good run there. I think I did see it did make a little B-wave break in here, I think around about 315. Had a good run, had a nice pullback there. There was a bit of volume on that pullback there, so that would have had you a little bit, itchy. And did break the 20 there, so, but this ended up setting up another EP, Chris, as well. So I think it closed at 357, gapped up to 382, which did exactly 7%. So right in the, the perfect, probably the sweet spot for an EP. And so it's opened at 380 or something. That's what, 420 here. So it's really about 15% there. So yeah, not bad. I think.
As you're talking about defense companies, we were looking at the leaders in the defense stocks in an individual video, looking at the top 6 because they were lighting up as a group. So that was the 10th of February, which is about 2.5 weeks ago. So in your experience of seeing companies on the launchpad and themes on the launchpad, is it like 2 to 6 weeks? Is that the kind of range that you'd see, like points bet you saw last week? That's a bit fast.
Yeah.
Normally 2 to 6 weeks that you'd see?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're, the only thing is you are sort of seeing, we are seeing a few chickens here in terms of those EPs. So what I mean by that is that, so you get the EP, the gap up, and then they might rally for 2 or 3 days, but then fade. We're not, just because we're pretty late in the move here as well. And we're the markets now, it looks like it's in a contractionary phase here. We've definitely seen some, definitely signs of distribution across a lot of stocks. We've seen a lot of stocks down, a lot of indices break below the 21, even the 50s as well. So I've seen some, some of the biggest winners have some pretty big reversals, sort of shooting star patterns, sort of distribution patterns as well. So feels like we're sort of, we're just in a bit of a mixed period here. So, like when the index is below the 21-day moving average, for me, that's when I will bet lighter. So my rules tell me that I'm not allowed to go to 20%. I'm only allowed to go to 10% holdings there. So I'm trading lighter here at the moment because we're just getting a lot of failed, setups. We're getting lots of distribution signs. We're seeing signs of weakness there. So, I've been trying to sort of have a few shorts there as a bit of a hedge. So still some trading setups around there, still some good setups there, but I'm sort of finding that 2-for-1 risk reward, Chris, has actually been, has been working really well in this current climate. So because I'm sort of taking on half after 2 units of gains, or two times my risk, and then I'm not, I'm finding more actually hitting in the 2 and then peeling back off than actually that I keep going to the target. So, it's just the environment we're in here at the moment. So, it might be taking off, half a 2 times risk. That may, hold me back if we're coming off a deep low, or, if
the market opens up and starts grabbing.
if we're coming out of a base, or we're seeing early signs of spent off. Yeah. But at the moment, it's, we're very, it does feel pretty late stage in the market there, and we're just in a choppy period. So, I think it's just a period just to be a little safer here at the moment. That's probably, not trying to say there's not, the setups aren't there. There's still some good setups there. We're still seeing some good setups, but still seeing fewer and fewer there, in my opinion. So, I'd personally be holding a little bit more cash than I would.
In the launchpad list, I know there's, from the request side, there's still a fair few ASX 300 companies in that list.
Right
there. So
I noticed Woolies that was up 6.6%, Chris, a nice little AP. But again, sort of, you're following these, sort of that maybe they run for a few days as well.
Yeah. And there was also Woodside and Whitehaven, or have you still got ones in your list?
Yeah, I like Woodside there. Actually, I did actually buy that. I did sort of see I thought the reporting actually was pretty good. And and I think it retested the low there and then reversed off that. So I did actually buy some of that for a few clients there. So a model portfolio off that low there. So I thought it was pretty decent there. I just couldn't get my head around the fact that natural gas prices were at yearly highs and Woodside was at yearly lows, and the update was pretty positive. Yeah. Well, I think the market was a little bit. I was trying to work out why that was the case there. So when I was looking at it, the market was a bit concerned about Woodside expanding in the US, sort of like, that made a couple acquisitions there. But I noticed in their report there, they mentioned
looking to sell half of it pretty soon.
Yeah, bringing in a partner to share the risk and load with that deal. And I can't know why the market might like that, because that's the one thing. That's the only thing I could find. I understand as to why the market was worried here. It's a bit like mineral resources at the moment. Mineral resources obviously struggling here. There's all this sort of chatter about rights issue and stuff there, which, the company said, no, we don't need to raise money. They've sold a few assets there, try to pay down some of the debt, but this market's still making enough noise there. I mean, it's probably brokers trying to, orchestrate a deal so they can clip the ticket, make some money. But, again, you think about, okay, worst case scenario, if mineral resources did do a rights issue, so they did like something like, because like Fletcher did one when it was like 260. I think it was September. Might have been this date. I think it was this date here or something. So it was around this date here. I think they announced a rights issue at the close of this day here. So it was 250. They announced a rights issue, one for 4.5 or something like that at 240 or some really low price, or 220 or something like that. So it forced everyone to take up more shares. So they do those rights issues at a price. So shareholders if you don't take up, be crazy because they're a big discount. Yeah.
449.
Yeah, so you think, it's going to bring the price back and stuff there, but what, so you can get a bit negative when you see that. You go, oh, damn, But what actually happens here is that the reason why it's down is everyone's worried about them having to raise money. As soon as they raise the money, then we've all the doubts. We got nothing to, now the debt's been paid off. It can go back up again. So it's odd how those type of events take place at the lows all the time. So shareholders will probably get a bit upset when that happen. But if you go back and look at when those rights issues come in, they come out at the worst time technically, but that's almost a sign to buy. And if you don't actually have the shares, then you don't get access to the cheap ones either. So it's catch-22. So you're sort of almost got to be on the register to get those really cheap shares. And then, but you'll find that all the times that those will actually rally out of those events. So it's pretty interesting, man. So mineral resources is interesting here. It feels like it's on its knees here. I think I saw a few broker reports are still sort of got, quite a few brokers have still got like $40, $45 targets on this. The crushing business is still pretty sound there. It's just a gearing issue there that the market's worried about there. So, but if it's any rights issue there, probably could actually spike the stock here.
So while you're on the big names, the other ones are Whitehaven Coal and energy space. That was a request.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely watching Whitehaven. Covered that one in my report. I like the fact that it's a bit of a false breakdown here, some good volume down there. Just want to see this tighten up and hold those levels there. So I think it's interesting level. I think New Hope Coal gone to a new low as well. That doesn't look so good, but did see Coronado's come off. I think the other one was there.
Yen Coal. YAL.
Yeah, that's sort of, that's paid a pretty chunky dividend here recently. So, but they're definitely watching those strikes there. Yeah, you just want to see them hold a bit more. Just want to show a bit more first.
Well, overlapping with your report, there was another request for RFF. So momentum wise, we looked at it on Tuesday.
Yeah, I was trying to buy this one. I'll have him like sort of congest back in here and give me a better chance here, because I thought this was a really good volume out here. Pulled back, didn't really draw up too much, unfortunately. Didn't come back deep enough. But yeah, it took off straight away here. So maybe it'll congest under here. That's, sometimes
inverted head and shoulders, fold back technique.
The fold back technique, yeah. So it's such a there's a book. I'm sure other people already know already, but for the other half that don't know, I remember I read there was a book that talked about, I think it was called Tripwires and something else, but talked about the market often will, how market trades into one point, it'll trade out the same manner. So it gets us a bit like double tops and head and shoulder patterns, which you get some technical patterns, which sort of how they mirror into a low, they'll come out and stuff there. But this guy was sort of saying you'll often sort of see different points on charts there where the market will basically, how it trades into that low or high, or even like a midpoint there, it'll trade out the same manner or just follow the same path in it. So this could, it's gone to the same level here. Maybe it'll pull back to 170, or maybe the body there, maybe 170 odd there, congest into here and then come out again. So just a fascinating book there. I kind of laughed when I first started to read it, but then after I read it, I just started to see the fallback technique just show up everywhere in the market. So I thought, shit, this guy's actually onto something here. But yeah, it's just a lot of patterns lending themselves to that. But yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on.
And
this looks
looking at it, there's a whole playlist of these type of setups that Gary's talked about, and the fallback technique is in that Traders Education playlist. But we've got 3 left on the request. Were there other ones that you had on the list as well for the launch?
Oh, just a couple. I think I mentioned there. I think the ETN. I thought that looks pretty interesting. That's had a pretty strong move. Whole thing's tightened up, and definite VCP going on at the moment. So the whole thing's pretty tight there. Yep. But that MHK I thought was interesting as well, because that's been a pretty robust trend there. Too small here for me, but the thing I like here, Chris, is that
were you back in that defense space once more?
So look at that, just 1, 2, 3 here. It's just there's pull back here from the highs there, but very little selling here so far. Sitting sort of VCP pattern as well. So yeah, like it looks extended on this chart here, but there's they just when you see that's pretty healthy volume as well. It's still maybe 1 day of selling in there. But even that day of selling there, Chris, is pretty much near the low as well. So yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. I think not too much else there. I thought this one was interesting there, just because it sort of had an impulsive move and then whole thing's tightening up here.
It's up after the range, pretty tight. Volume's petering off, but still not.
Yeah. The only issue there is that it's still in a downtrend, hasn't broken a swing high really, but has a little VCP and they're tightened up. Bit of an impulsive move on good volume there. I think some good volume as well here. Yeah. So that was
Still leaves 3, which was NEU.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I did like this one. I covered this on a report.
Yes.
I actually traded this twice, Chris, got stopped out twice. So yeah. So I'm disappointed to see it up today. but it did have a nice impulsive move here, and then tightened up here. I looked, see it had a little VCP in here, and then this day it came out and then shot back to a new low. So that
stopped you out there.
Yeah, it did sort of time. Yeah, that was pretty tight there. So not too much risk there. But I thought, okay, oftentimes when they give a failed one, I think the next day it held. I thought, this is probably, because I've seen these VCPs, sometimes they fail the first time and then they go the second time. So I thought, okay, this is gonna. So the next day I thought I'll just wait for it to maybe break this B wave again, maybe just a higher B wave, which I did add in some in here, and then it threw back here as well. I thought, I just don't want. I don't want to be giving away too much as well. So look, it's popped up again here as well. So I do like this one here. I thought the weekly looked pretty good daily there, but it's got me twice there. So you got to live to fight another day, as they say. But yeah, you got to have your rules and stuff there. Just in hindsight, they maybe wait for a pullback there, but I found it sometimes when they don't go the first time, when they break the second time, they tend to not look back and just keep going. So to get a throwback there was probably not something you'd see that often there. But look, it is pretty weak tape as well. So the only good thing for me there, Chris, is that I did, because I'm only trading sort of 10%. I'm not not being as aggressive as because the tape's not strong there. Just because you are getting those sort of whip backs there. But do like that setup there. Yeah.
Well, the last two are DVP.
VEVT. Yeah, nice and tight here, so it still looks okay. Yeah, maybe a little extended here, but so far not sort of showing too many signs of selling here. Nope, not seeing any sort of aggressive selling at all. Volume really pretty light.
So it's holding a good half of the range. It's above the swing highs. It's got spacing from that last high. It's got diminishing volume, diminishing volatility, tighter closes.
So you probably don't want to see it go below 280 now, because now we've had a couple of touches there. So, my stop might be pretty tight in there, just maybe a couple cents, just in case sometimes they can go 1 cent under, just to try and a little throwback there, but shouldn't really go below here now. Should keep going there.
Nice. And then the last one is EVT, Echo Victor, Echo Victor Tango.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Had a nice pop this one. Yeah. Yeah, no, look, came out of a nice cup and handle there, didn't it? So really sort of had an okay run here. Yeah, just congested here, stayed tight there, and eventually broke through. So, even buying these days here around $12 there, did have a little, little congestion there, but so you might have been worried about that. But again, if you drill in here, this is why volume is so important there, Chris, is that, yeah, you pop and then you drop, but what you're looking for is am I seeing signs of distribution? Am I seeing any aggressive selling? And if the answer is no, then that's good. It's healthy. And then yeah. And then to be honest with you, if you put a position on there and just say your stop was back here at say the 20 or something, then you're going to move like that, and then the whole thing tightens up and it starts to come through here. This should be this is. This should be adding to it, sort of like, this comes through, in here. So this is already, for me personally, if I was just I did buy that breakout, then I had a little throwback, and then I'd be looking for it to, to add to that little, that little congestion there as well. So where's that? Trying to make that day there. Yeah, so looking around about that on the 21st of February there, should be watching that day pretty closely there. The 21st of February there. See how it's like, the whole thing's tightened up in here, comes through. So, you could add another, 5% or something, or another on the break of that, 1234, that would have been, confirmation there breaking through there. But once it went through 1234, it just took off. So, that's why sometimes, there's, when they have a little tight congestion there breaking out, it's a good sign. That's the last one.
That is the last one on the list, the launchpad, and good sort of insights. So this is the list, obviously, using the research that Gary's got, and he's talked about, he's looking at the setups, he's analysed them in great depth. The model book is what he talked about right at the very, very start, where there are two companies that have shown textbook setups. And the way Gary's been able to identify that is to look time and time again over the previous leaders, and he's consistently adding to that list. But if you want to learn more of those, there's a whole playlist there, including 3 whole model book sessions that go through 5 of the best companies on the ASX in huge amounts of detail, every single breakout analysed to really study where are the opportunities in these leaders to get set up. And for that research, and also today, we say thank you very much, Gary Glover from Novus Capital.
Thanks, Chris.